Hi, this is Oscar Rios from Legends. Oh, yeah, screwed it up. I told you I was going to screw it up. Hi, this is Oscar Rios from Golden Goblin Press, and welcome to Legends of Tabletop.
Hello and welcome to the Legends of Tabletop podcast. I am excited to have Oscar on yet again. We do get him bi-weekly now anyway. Oscar is like half of the podcast now, and that's fantastic for us.
I feel like such a ham. It's honestly just nice to have an ongoing campaign. This is the longest continuous game I've run in years, so it's nice,
And it's fun because we don't have anywhere to be sort of thing like in game. You do, but you don't, right? So we can meander a little bit and sort of dick around. And
I'm letting people Shatner up the stage and chew up the scenery. So
yeah. I feel like if we get a little too far out the weeds, you're like, all right, so we got to do this.
Yeah. There was that one session where we spent 20 minutes trying to name a donkey.
Yeah.
Then I was like, all right, no, guys. This is not compelling broadcasting.
Hey, that's what people are tuning in for. Yeah. But we're not on for that. You've got another Kickstarter coming up for Golden Goblin Press.
Yes, something completely different from every other Kickstarter we've done. And at this point, that's saying a lot because we've done an awful lot of these. So this is going to be Terrors of Octobernomicon. And I am not writing anything for it at this point. I may be a stretch goal, but I'm not part of the core book. And that is because the core book is going to be written by all new and newish aspiring authors to our community. People who've been active in the repository. One of our, two of our authors have some RPG credits. One has one scenario out in a GGP book. One has some supplemental stuff out for, they wrote some NPCs for a Stygian Fox product. And one has never been published in any way, shape, or form as a gamer. So this will be his first, his first foray into, his first introduction to the community. So that's pretty exciting. What's also exciting is this is a tribute to one of my favorite times of the year, the Octobernomicon for Shoggoth.net. We could have a whole nother conversation about that, but for those who don't know, it's every day in the month of October, Shoggoth.net tries to feature a brand new creature. So you get 31, if you're lucky, if everything goes right, you get 31 new monsters in the month of October. And these are written, they do get some big names in there. But for the most part, this is written by aspiring authors who are just hoping to get some chops in and get some practice. So each of the 6 scenarios these new authors are doing features a creature from the pages of Octobernomicon. And the authors pick their creature. So we had no control over which creatures were being picked. We just, let's say, send us 3 pitches for 3 different creatures, and they did. We picked those, and So what else do you want to know? I've been knee deep in this for a few months. Well, not knee deep. I've spent the last 8 weeks mailing out 2 different Kickstarters.
Yeah.
And starting to work on Britannia and Beyond in a serious fashion again to get that done. So it's been pretty busy at the Goblin there. My knees are killing me from all the boxes, but
you're right.
We're on the other side of that process, thank goodness.
So how many new authors are we looking at for this project?
We've got 6, and with a stretch goal, we will add 7. So the core book is 6 authors. We have, let me see, I believe we have 3 Brits, 2 Americans, and won Polish national, which we are thrilled
Right on.
because what?
I said right on.
Um,
It's my homeboy.
yeah,
Or
Poland
homegirl.
has one of the biggest, most vibrant Call of Cthulhu communities on Earth. I mean, they love their Call of Cthulhu, and the author we have for that is, I want to look at his name as I say it because I don't want to mispronounce it any worse than I'm going to. Marek Golganka, and he actually he teaches RPG design in Poland at a college level.
Oh, nice. That's
So
cool.
he's got a lot of work out, a lot of Polish language stuff out, a lot of stuff on the repository. So, but this will be his first time in a mainline published book for English-speaking audiences.
Nice. That's cool. So we have 6 new monsters, and each one of those monsters has its
Has a
own
new
scenario.
Yep.
Very cool.
And we're happy to say that 1/3 of the team is women.
Nice.
Not that we were specifically looking, but God knows we need more great female horror RPG writers, and we're really thrilled to be giving to a shot, a chance to present their work to the wider audience. One of those, I mean, you want me to go down the line, or you want to?
Yeah.
We have Helen Yao, who has written a few things for the repository, and Francesca McMahon, who has written. I've been working with her for a little while, and she's got something out with us, a fiction piece, Wrath of the Kelpie, from the Britannia and Beyond fiction book. But this will be her first scenario with us. And they're both, UK. They're both Brits, and lovely to have them. Really excited, and I'm happy to say everyone's work is turned in. 2 people are already in, 2 people are already in rewrites, which was great. But we could talk about that's a whole story in and of itself. And we'll get to this side of the pond. We have William Adcot, who has one scenario out with us, but he's been helping us with supplemental writing and running at cons, and I've been working with him for 3 years to build up his skill set. He's got a bunch of stuff out in the repository.
Right.
So he's.
I got to meet Bill at Necronomicon last year. At the opening night stuff.
And Morgan Llewellyn. I just found out in an interview when I interviewed him that I've been pronouncing his name wrong for several years. I apologize, Morgan. Morgan is very interesting. He also has a piece of fiction out with us in the Britannia book, and this will be his very first published scenario. But I met him actually playing with him online, broadcasted game. And I never get to play, so when I played it, I was really entertained. I dug into the material and I totally Shatnered it up and had a wonderful time.
Nice.
And then found out that this was the kid's own scenario, that he had wrote this. This was his, and I was suitably impressed, and I wanted to start working with him.
Cool.
And he's very interesting. He's from Utah. So we just had a talk in an interview about what is the horror of Utah like.
There's nothing. It's all open space.
You're Arizona, right? You're not Utah,
yeah,
but
it's similar.
Yeah. He had some really amazing insights about why, what the horror of Utah is like. He said it's very claustrophobic because it's surrounded by mountains, and the city is very densely packed in a grid pattern. And as soon as you get out of the mountains, there's nothing for hundreds of miles in any direction. He said, so you have this claustrophobia in the center of this just vast void. And I was like, wow, okay, now I get why you could be a horror writer because horror writers, Maine and New England, yada yada yada, New Orleans. You don't think Utah, but I'm like, so what is the horror of Utah like? And he explained it wonderfully. And if you want to see that, I believe his interview is already up on our Facebook page, and it will be embedded in the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, so I guess before you continue, we should note that you've been doing your own interviews,
yes,
of the various authors and posting them up to the Facebook page.
Yeah, it's good practice for me for filming Kickstarter videos to screw around with the software I'm paying for every year.
Right.
So, I figured, who better to talk about the scenarios than the authors of the scenarios themselves? And if you want the audience to be excited about new authors, let them meet the new authors. Let them hear what they have to say and talk, get their vibe, get their rhythm, and get excited about. Oh, I'm waving hello in the background. And get the audience excited to see what their work is like. And the interviews have been great. It's they're all young, they're all eager, they're all full of energy, and it makes like a broke down 50-year-old jaded editor author like me. It just gives me a whole second wind of I remember when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I was writing my first few scenarios.
Right.
So for us, and I'm mentoring the crew along with Matt Wiseman of Shoggoth.net, who's also an Emmy Award-winning author. So we're both answering questions and helping with scenario designs, and we're going to be doing several rounds of edits with them to really bring their skills forward. So it's a great learning opportunity for them. It's taking time. It's a lot easier to go with a seasoned author who's just going to turn it in and you've got to do a brief edit, but you're not doing anything for the community. You're not helping these new authors, And
it's really cool that you guys are taking the time out of the schedules. And granted, like, you're doing a Kickstarter, so Golden Goblin has got a financial aspect to it, but it's cool that you're able to do that, take time out of the schedule, or you could be, like you say, bringing in a regular author, doing your own sort of project to bring more people in, and doing the interviews too, to put a face to the name. And it's not just a Kickstarter with a bunch of scenarios. It's a person who put their time and effort and expertise into crafting something, for us to mess around with. And I love that.
Yeah, it's it's very interesting. It's part of their whole training as well, because in this day of social media, to be a successful author, you need to learn how to promote yourself. You need to learn how to be in front of a camera, how to perform in an interview for podcasts and YouTube channels and all of that. So with me doing it with them, it's less pressure, but it's still enough pressure. A lot of them were very nervous, but it was fun. I mean, and I'm no great interviewer, so I was a little nervous myself. I cheated and I had a nice phone call with Chad Bouchard, formerly of Miskatonic University podcast, and I'm like, I gotta do some interviews. You gotta help me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to make these kids look bad. So he gave me some great pointers, and I think it was very helpful.
That's cool. I tell you, at the beginning, this used to petrify me coming on, and now it's just like, whatever. But even still, even with that, like, it's still a little, especially if you get somebody new, like with you, whatever. It's old hat, like, we've known each other for a while, but to bring somebody in that you don't really know all that well, there's still a little bit of butterflies. But like, right, we're all in the thing together, right? Like, we're all into the game, we're all into the RPGs. Like, there's that common thread, and it's
right.
sort of.
You sit down with anybody in this community and you've already got 10 things in common with them, it's easy to be friendly and comfortable with people in your community. So that's what's great about the Call of Cthulhu, mythos horror kind of community.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a niche of a niche too, right? So like if you're into this, there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of commonality already anyway.
Right. And I find that we don't have a lot of, well, let me not say this. I haven't encountered much gatekeeping.
I think Cthulhu's different.
I genuinely feel that older Cthulhu players are really excited when new players want to learn, especially new keepers. Yeah. You talk to people who run Call of Cthulhu, if they get a chance to run someone's first Call of Cthulhu game, that's like, oh, we get the first piece of pie out of we get the first slice of cake from it's such a treat to be the person to introduce a player to cosmic horror. And in a way, for me as a publisher, it's such a treat to introduce for the most part 6 new authors to a whole audience of people. I mean, right. Yes, some of them have stuff in other languages, some of them have stuff on the repository, but this will be the first time it's going to be, on a Kickstarter, general release, that they're not going to be that one or two unknown scenario in a scenario filled with known people.
Right.
They're all on a level playing field.
Right.
So they won't feel like, oh, my work's going to get buried because there's 2 other scenarios by guys who, won Eddies and then written campaigns, and I'm just,
like filler.
Yeah, I'm barely a supporting character. No, these authors are going to be the star of this show.
Yeah, and that's hard. Like you're talking about with social media and having to get in and promote yourself, but people who tend to have a more creative bent, a lot of times are less likely or more inhibited to get out there and sort of, hey, this is the thing that I'm doing, because it almost feels like you're shilling in a bad way. Look at me, and it's not that, but to get your voice out, you really have to sort of push it out in a respectful way, but also reach out to people in the community and sort of say, hey, like, this is what I'm doing. Is this cool? Can you share this? Is this something we could talk about? And just, bring everybody up, right? Because like everybody's in here having a good time. Well, most people are in here having a good time. I guess there's still
right.
There's still those that don't want some people to have a good time.
But also it's kind of half a commercial, because it's videos by the company on the Kickstarter page. So it's kind of like, is Talking Dead a real news show? Because it's right after the Walking Dead, and it's all about the Walking Dead. Is it a fanzine or is it a hard-hitting media? No, it's a fanzine.
Yeah.
So my interviews have been, tell us about your scenario, tell us about yourself. Let's have some dopey conversation. Then I'll go back and edit out all of my meandering old man comments to make you look better and me look like less of a bore, which I had to do because I like to talk. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so annoying. And I'm like, edit, cut.
This is why I like to have you on, because I don't have to do very much.
Yeah. I'm really in touch with my inner douchebag, I gotta tell you.
Hey, I'm telling you, this is what people come for. If they listen to our games, yeah, they're used to it.
Jesus. I feel like such a hack. So what else can I tell you about this?
When does the Kickstarter start?
The Kickstarter starts on Friday the 19th at the stroke of midnight, which is technically the first second of Saturday the 20th. As if that's not confusing enough, but that's our tradition. We've been doing that for years now. We always launch at Friday at midnight, then to start on a weekend. We try and end, and we will be ending on a Sunday night at midnight, 30 days later, in April 26th, I think, or something like that. But
the launch will involve a lot of Mountain Dew and Cheetos, if I'm not mistaken.
Cream soda.
Well, cream soda.
Cream soda and Fritos.
So I was in the ballpark.
No, yeah, you were in the ballpark. I don't know if I'm going to do that because the pandemic has not been good to my health. So It may be just, I should be doing carrot sticks and tea, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It may be a can of cream soda and not a whole bottle. And like one of the little lunch bags of Fritos,
Yeah.
just to avoid the curse.
There you go. And it's a book of scenarios. Is there going to be a fiction companion with this as well?
There is going to be a fiction companion. It is already 5 of the 6 stories are written. We've got a cover. We've got a sketch of a cover, so it's not colored yet. But we should have cover design before the launch of the Kickstarter. Knock on wood. That'll be our big stretch goal. I forget what I'm naming it. Hold on, I can look this up.
Yeah, I didn't have like a pre-Kickstarter to look through to mine for questions and stuff.
Oh, you should have asked. I've had the page was actually sent for approval today.
Yeah, I saw just before we got on that you sent it off.
Right.
Now I'm gonna have to edit. God damn it.
Sorry.
Timestamp. What time is this?
Oh, I think the working title is going to be Dark Discoveries.
Oh, nice.
And the reason it's going to be called Dark Discoveries is because the 6 brand new monsters that the RPG authors picked are going to be featured in short stories that our fiction authors were assigned. Nice. So the original monsters that appear in the RPG book will have fiction stories written about them in the fiction book. So, you're not going to know what to expect, because unless you're an avid, Octobernomicon fan who read every single monster for years and years, you may have never heard of these things. So we're really excited about that. I've read most of them at this point. Really happy with the way the book's turning out. If we enlarge to a 7th scenario, we're going to try and get a 7th short story through Kickstarter, through stretch goals. But, we'll see. We'll see what kind of legs we've got. But yeah, so Dark Discovery, we've already got a rough cover sketch for it. Cover design is a little held up because we've also got Mark working on the layout for April Snow, the last stretch goal of the holiday collection Kickstarter we're just finishing up.
Right.
So now, keeping him pretty busy.
Are the fiction stories written by other people than the scenario creators?
Yep. They've got enough to do writing their scenarios. We didn't want to overtax them. So we've got some of our go-to fiction people on that. But I think we've got 1 or 2 new authors as well. But we've got some of our established fiction people that we've worked with for years who were really excited to be working with us again.
Cool. Very cool. And
I can give you a sneak peek of some of them. Hold on. I'll drop some names.
Exclusives.
Andy Newton has a story in it. Peter Rawlik has a story in it. Glenn Owen Barris has a story in it, and that's all I'm saying. That's half of them. So.
All right, nice.
But those are 3 people we've worked with many times, and we'll probably, God willing, we'll work with again. They're wonderful authors.
Okay, and obviously price point. What are we looking at to get in on the Kickstarter?
Price point, it's not it's not too terrible. If you want to just go digital, we're looking at $15, and that will be the PDF. And if we unlock the fiction will be included in that. We've got the basic early bird special will be $30, and that's going to be $30 if it's 6 scenarios or 7 scenarios. There's only 100 of those. So first 100 backers to grab it for 30, get it for 30. After that, it goes up to 40, which is still less than $10 a scenario.
Yeah.
And then we start adding bells and whistles. Like you can get on the thank you page. You could have a brief message on the thank you page. Or you can have you can help name and design a character that is either killed or is found dead.
Nice.
So we're calling that claimed by the void, the upper level. So if you've got an ex that you really don't like and would like to name a character that is horrifically murdered, our authors are standing by.
Well, let me look at that one.
And then again, that's limited. We're only doing, I think they got 9 of those. Cool. So a few scenarios will have 2 dead people, two dead celebrities in it. But we'll see how that goes.
And when does this one expect to fulfill?
Well, all of the scenarios are done.
Okay.
We've got 2 in rewrites already. I've read 2 others, and we're expecting to put them in rewrites early next week. I don't want to give a specific date because these are new authors, and we don't know how they're going to handle rewrites. We don't know how long it's going to take to get them to the point where they're going to put their best foot forward. We've got, in some cases, there's a lot they need to learn. In some cases, raw talent needs to become skill.
Yeah.
We're going to be working with them. They're working very hard. They're very eager. They're very excited. We even told them, do you want to start working on rewrites now or wait until we fund? Because if you start working on it now, if it doesn't fund, it's all for nothing. And universally, they said, we want to start as soon as possible. Whether we fund or not, we're learning so much, and they're so eager to, to learn how to do this, that they're all in. They've pushed their chips forward. So we're going to try. Ideally, I would love to get this out by October.
Oh, I would love cool.
I would love to be delivering this in the fall and get it into people's hands. And there's no reason why that's unreasonable, because they're all written. By the time the Kickstarter launches, that's 2 weeks. The Monday after the Kickstarter launches, we should have the last 2 in rewrites.
Right.
So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get it done. We have we've brought in a new author. We'll be talking more about him later. But a new editor. So we've increased our RPG editors. Let me find his name. I want to give him the proper respect. Mike Wilson. Lisa Paddle interviewed him. She put her stamp of approval, said, yes, this is someone we should be working with. He's been proofreading for us for a few years. So this will be his first book, editing with us. Lisa's busy with Britannia, so he's going to be taking point on this after we have scenarios that are ready, that have been mentored, shepherded to the point where we can hand them off. We'll hand them off. And, we've got the artist for this is not involved in any other projects. This is a completely independent project from Britannia. So while I've got one set of people working on Britannia, I can have other people working on this. The goal is by October.
That would be cool.
So many things can and do go wrong.
Right.
But the goal is October. And there's no, knock on wood, we've got our ducks in a row on this one. Technically, the book is done.
Yeah,
it's in rough shape. These are first drafts, and I technically haven't read 2 of them because I'm reading 2 a week and then sending 2. They all blend together if you read them all at once. When you've got to critique them. But they're all written. We're going to be sending them for rewrites, and depending on how stretch goals go, it'll increase the workload because we've got some crunchy bits and interesting things to add if we start making stretch goals, which I hope we do. Our last project, the holiday collection, with stretch goals, that book became a monster. I mean, people really got their money's worth with that one, because
Right.
with just family trees and adult investigators and pulp investigators and the best friend levels and 2 additional scenarios, that became our largest book to date. And we didn't plan it that way. We had originally had 2 scenarios, and it turned into 4 scenarios with a ton of support stuff.
Right.
And again, we're really proud and excited. But then again, you know, it just goes to show you that if it all goes well and you support a Kickstarter, you could really get a lot of value for your initial investment.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because some people will wait, right? So like they know that Golden Goblin puts out quality stuff. There's, you know, you release on a pretty regular schedule. But you know, there's a group of people that will look at a Kickstarter, especially for board games, and go, I like that, and I'm probably going to get it, but I want to wait to see like how big this is going to be, or what I can get in the way of stretch goals, instead of just going, I want to support these people, I want to support this business, I want this thing that I'm going to play or you know, run or whatever. And it's weird. It's
just personality. You know, some people, you know, if they're from the show me state, you know, they don't want to pony up for something that may not happen, even though there's no risk. And they'll stalk it and they'll check in on it until it funds, and they'll be like, well, unless I'm getting the fiction book with it, I'm not interested. And then when you unlock that, they're interested. But you all along, had they backed earlier, we would have unlocked it earlier.
Yeah.
But what can you do? You know, from a publisher, sure, you want everybody to back on day one. You want to fund on the first day, start on the stretch goals, and have all this pressure off.
Yeah,
doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So we're ready. We're ready to do our due diligence and put our best foot forward and have everyone, you know, excited about it and keep everyone informed about how it goes, and, you know, do the work.
Right. Now, do you feel pressure as a publisher to include stretch goals? I mean, would you ever consider just putting out a project and going, this is the book, this is what we have lined up, this is what we're going to go, and shit, if we make double, like, thank you, because like, this is my job, like, this is what I do, this is what pays my bills.
That's not the way Kickstarter works. It's not. Kickstarter is a roller coaster. Kickstarter is a trip to the casino. Whether you're a backer, whether you're a gambler or the house, it's an exciting night at the casino.
Right.
So yeah, you want to have that excitement. You want to have that tension. You want your backers invested. You know, you want them to see that stretch goal, and it's like 3 hours left, and they're like, oh, if everybody throws in another $20, we can make it. And then you get some of the people who are really our best and most loyal fans. They were like, we just need $300 to unlock a stretch goal, and they will bid $300 extra just to get this stretch goal. Or, you know, even in some cases, we've funded a project in the last hour. In the last hour of the Kickstarter, we funded the Growing Up Overnight, the 2 fiction book. Our fans were not going to let this die, and they literally pulled us out of the fire, snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, and we're forever grateful. I was happy to put every book in every envelope and carry them to the post office for that Kickstarter, because, you know, our backers really saved us there. But no, I mean, the stretch goals are fun. They're interesting. They keep it interesting. They help people become excited about it, and they get people to spread it on social media, because they want, like, after they back it, you know, they're trying to get their friends to back it so they can get more, so everyone will get more bang for their buck.
I guess I'm the odd man out, and maybe it's just because I'm on this side of the chair and get to do this a lot. that like for me, I'm excited just to have you succeed, and for me to get a cool book out of it. If there's other stuff, like, I'm not saying it's not cool, but like, I don't know. It's a weird headspace for me. Like, I just like,
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather have 7 new scenarios instead of 6?
I mean, yeah, but like if you put out a thing and said,
would you rather a fiction collection to go with it? I mean, sure.
I mean, I do, yeah. But if there wasn't one, I wouldn't be like, I'm not going to back that.
A lot of people would. A lot of people were like, that's all? I'll just wait. If that's all I'm getting, why am I going to back the Kickstarter when I can just get it from the game store or order it from the website after it funds? I'm not getting anything special.
Yeah. Well, you do get it a little cheaper.
Yeah, but a little cheaper and an art print and a bookmark and a free PDF of the fiction collection, that's going to sweeten the pot considerably.
Yeah, well, I guess it's me.
Right. So if we're going to talk about stretch goals, and we are having a stretch goal called Honorary Horrors, where Matt and I are going to pick 6 of our favorite creatures that were not selected, and we're going to include those in the book. So you'll get the 6 new creatures from Octobernomicon in the scenarios, and then 6 more just because. And we may do that twice. We may do another 6. We may do further, further honorary horrors. We're talking about something called the Mentors Challenge, which would be Matt writing a scenario using a creature I created, and myself creating a scenario using a monster he created. And that would be a bonus PDF available only to Kickstarter backers at first. And then, you can order it digitally after. But so yeah, we've got some kooky ideas. Bookmarks are always fun.
Mm-hmm. I'm using one right now.
And, of course, expanded illustrations, expanded maps, full color interior. There's loads of bells and whistles you can do to spark a project. You spank a project up and get people really excited about it. So,
right. That's cool. And the scenarios, they run over different times. They're not all set in the 20s. You've got
They are not all set in the 20s. We have 4 that are set in the 20s, and only one of which, well, of the 4 set in the 20s, hold on, I'm trying to think. We have 1 set in Egypt. Oh, cool. We have 1 set in Venice. We have 1 set, I believe, in Cornwall, the UK, and 1 set in Lovecraft Country.
Oh, nice. Good mix.
And for the other 2, we have what I like to call an American Gaslight scenario.
Ooh.
And by American Gaslight, I mean Down Darker Trails, Old West.
Nice.
And that's set in the Colorado Territory before statehood. And the 6th is a setting near and dear to my heart. And that's going to be set in the province of Asia, of Asia. I believe Asia. Yes, Asia. Right outside of the city of Petra for Cthulhu Invictus.
Very cool.
So yeah, you're going to get a Cthulhu Invictus scenario, a Down Darker Trail scenario, 3 European scenarios, and a Lovecraft. Well, let me not say that because it's copyrighted. An Eldritch New England, scenario.
Cool.
Set across, that county that was talked about by Lovecraft.
It's like you can't say Super Bowl. Like
it's ridiculous.
Stupid.
And that's why we had to change the name of the last Kickstarter. That's why you back something and you got a book with a different cover. You didn't want to get sued.
Right. Yeah. Well, that still plays a part in all this kind of stuff, even though it's a good and sharing community and everybody's into all this stuff.
But we're super, super excited to have a scenario set in Venice, a heavily researched Venice. during a period where there was a huge socialist movement going on and a lot of unrest, post World War One unrest. We have Egypt right after it's gained independence. So there's heavily researched that scenario set on a paddle wheel steamer. And the one in Cornwall is really interesting because it's a place very few people know anything about. What else was it called? I see the question.
Yeah, so Andy's in.
It was called the Lovecraft Country Holiday Collection, and we couldn't call it that anymore because of the HBO show and not wanting to get sued. So we had to change it to the Eldritch New England Holiday Collection.
It was March 19th is when the Kickstarter starts?
March 19th, yes.
I'm actually reading a book about fascism right now, so that scenario would be particularly interesting for me.
Right. So that's going to be a really interesting one. That's Marek's. I'm not scheduled to read that one until next week.
Cool.
He needed a little extra time because he actually had friends in Venice that he wanted to read it and check for historical accuracy.
Makes sense.
You can't beat that. You really can't.
Right.
Thanks, Max. Yeah. So, and the one in Cornwall is, the author had roots in the area. You know, her people came from there, and she's got a lot of background from her grandparents there, and finds it a very spooky place. And we're eager to experience that vicariously through the scenario.
Cool. Very cool. Well, it's nice to get a wide variety. You know, you get four in the same era. You've got them spread out. You know,
right.
And you can use those maybe as a hook to get into a larger campaign, or add it to something that you've got going on now. If there's
you can do a globe hopping trip if you want. You can just travel from Lovecraft Country to the UK, then down to Egypt and across to down to Venice and then down to Egypt. I mean, why not? You've got your characters already there anyway.
Yep. That's awesome.
And it's always fascinating to have scenarios in exotic places, but written by people who've actually been there and experienced it. It's hard for me writing about ancient Rome because I don't have a time machine. I've never, it's impossible for me to experience that. But the author writing about Egypt has been there. The author writing about Venice has lived there for a couple of years,
Right.
Morgan hasn't been to, 3rd century Petra, but, and I don't think that Bill has been to the Colorado Territory. But, what can you do? You do the best you can.
That's what the library's for. We're the internet now, I guess.
To the internet.
I'm old, so I went library first.
Right. To the encyclopedias. And I'm a little older than you. I remember the big white hardcover encyclopedia collection, every school report until the 8th grade.
And you couldn't take them out of the library. You had to do your research there because they were all the reference stuff. Fuck.
No, my parents invested in a set.
Oh, nice. There you go.
So we actually had an encyclopedia set, and I probably used it for Star Wars figure forts as much as I did for reports. I would build fortifications for my AT-AT. I would redo the Battle of Hoth with the encyclopedia collection.
Nice.
That's terrible. I was a horrible child. But yeah, we're super, super excited about this project, and not just for working with new authors and not just for another Kickstarter, and we're going to, keep the production lines going, but, to do something for the community as a whole, to give new authors a chance to get started in a proper way, to give them the tools they need to be successful. So they're not just floundering and meandering. And, the fan base can be can be brutal. So if we can save them from making some of those rookie mistakes, protect them from the basement trolls, then
as
maybe
much
they
as you
won't
can.
get as much as you can. Maybe they'll have a better shot at having a long career. They won't be discouraged and eviscerated.
Right. Well, and I think, and it's hard to do that, but I mean, you just have to tune most of that stuff out because people want to be shitty just to be shitty. Doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, you don't want to give them an opening though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
you definitely want to get your facts straight and no spelling errors and that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
We're working on it, Max.
So it's good that you've got different teams working on different stuff. But right now, Britannia is the only thing that's hanging out, right?
Britannia and the Mystery of April Snow.
Right.
So we've got, and that's in layout. So once we get it back from layout, we'll be sending it to Chaosium for approval. We'll distribute that to fans, and then it'll be up on the website for download. But after that, Britannia is the only outstanding Kickstarter that we've had. We've had a busy year for March. We've delivered 2 Kickstarters. A total of four books, 3 fiction and an RPG, have all been delivered in literally since the holidays.
Right.
My post office loves me.
You're keeping them open.
Yeah, I'm keeping the lights on there.
That's cool.
They actually greeted me by name the last time I was in there. I was almost in there. Was that Oscar? Hi. I'm like, hi.
Well, and even with and there were reasons for Britannia not completing a lost editor, and there's life situations that happen, and again it's weird for me because I know you, so I'm not worried about, oh my god, I'm not going to get a book. But I know there's probably, at least some portion of people are like Golden Goblin as a thing. I give money to, and then I get books from, and then the track record alone,
right?
And I know people got to people, right? But again, it's just like
they have every right to hold us accountable. They have every right to complain. When you're late, you're late. Did things happen? Yes, things have happened. We had to switch editors. We had to pull an editor off of one book to put her on another. She wasn't happy. She was literally 4 scenarios done in a 5 scenario book. And I pulled her and I said, all right, it's nothing but Britannia now. So for those of you who wanted to see the new expanded Legacy of Arius Lurko updated for 7th edition, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that. Lisa can't be in 2 places at once. It took us a while to replace, well, you can never replace someone like Jeff Muller. But we have another editor that we're going to be working with. I like to have 2 RPG editors and our fiction editor. And they don't, we like to say, not my monkey, not my circus. This is what you're working on. This is what you're working on. This is what you're working on. And we keep our teams independent so we can have production lines going. And, through unfortunate circumstances and misadventure, the 4 editors we were working with turned into 2.
Yeah.
And now we're back up to 3. So we're in a much better place. And I'm bringing on definitely 1 and possibly 2 other supplemental authors to help finish up Britannia. 1 is a very big name. I'm allowed to reveal it, but I wrote to Stuart to let him know that this person will be helping us. And until I hear back from Stuart, I don't want to announce that person publicly, but it's a big name. Yeah, we're very happy to have them on board.
I was going to tease that you had a special
Yes,
Special guest.
and they formalized their involvement. I just, out of respect for our primary author, I don't want to announce it. That makes me happy and sad, Max. Send me a PM on Facebook. I'll tell you. But and we've got a new author who offered to help, and he's got some writing credits. And I said, send me 1,500 words with a cult on Biatus as an audition, and if we like it, sure, you can help. Nice. And usually they never send anything in, so we'll see. But they seem pretty serious. They were like, I've been running a Call of Cthulhu Invictus campaign for 5 years, and I've been a gamer for 30. I'm like,
wow, there you go.
All right, so send us something in, and even if they write 1 or 2 new monsters in a cult, it'll be a huge help. Every little bit helps. We want to get this done. We want to get this out. So
right.
And the more people you have writing for Cthulhu Invictus, the better.
Well, I don't know. I mean, almost every week you're writing a new scenario for the podcast. Once a month?
Just to cover myself for angry fans who might be saying, why are you writing new scenarios when you should be working on Britannia? Writing for these yahoos is not like writing for something that's going to be published. It's barely an outline. It's not anything that I could ever. It's a collection of scattered ideas, and a lot of impromptu. So, and if anything, a lot of your playtests are going to be part of the Britannia book.
Oh, nice! That's cool.
A lot of things that we tried that I found really worked out well, that you guys were really either very upset about or very happy about, are going to become part of the setting in a way that we might not have realized. So you guys are kind of showing us where Britannia's sweet spots are.
Nice. That's cool. I mean, we don't play anything the right way, so I don't know if that's good or bad for you.
It's been good. I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed that we've had special guest stars drop in and out. I've enjoyed. We had our first character death, and I need to do a one-on-one to resolve that, because I don't know if he's coming back or not. It's gonna be some role playing there, away from the rest of you. So you will see.
Okay, fair enough.
But again, some of the elements of that campaign are going to be part of the Britannia book in a way that we hadn't really expected before, just because the campaign seems to be going so well.
Yeah, it's a blast. I mean, we're having a great time.
I'm happy about that.
Yep, and it's cool because we just get to hang out and play. Like the gaming is fun, and I enjoy that, and I look forward to that, and we do a lot of it. But it's the hanging out really that's the thing. I mean, we'll wrap up and we play pretty tight. We play like 2.5 hours maybe, and then everybody will sign off, and then Jesse and I will just stay on. I mean, shit, it's like 1 o'clock your time, and we're still on. I'm like, dude, I have to go to work tomorrow. Like we have.
I think it's really, in the age of COVID, that game has been a lifeline. I don't, and how long have we been doing it? Since September, August?
Maybe October, September, I think, for sure.
Right. That's a long time it was October, November, December, January, February, March. We've been, that campaign's 6 months old damn near 6 months old at this point.
Yep.
And going strong, I don't know what scenario is going to be next. Oh, actually, Jesus, I do. So I've already got the next one in my head on where you're going from here. So yeah, in the age of COVID, this has been, just something to look forward to. Some small island of normalcy.
Yep. Yeah, and there's so many people, doing it now, and it's just such a. I mean, there's no, but like. you're in New York, Jesse's in Massachusetts, Neil's is in Rhode Island, Regina's in New York, Jersey,
New Jersey.
We're all over. I mean, in our other games, I got people in Nevada and Wisconsin and Florida and in the UK who's up at like 2:00 in the morning just to play games.
In my weirdo Star Frontiers game, I've got a Canadian.
Oh yeah. That's cool, and that's the other thing you've got going on. You're running you have your own channel now.
Oh boy, yes. Citizens of the Frontier are what we call updated old school Star Frontiers, which means we're playing a 40-year-old game, from 1983, almost 40-year-old game, but we're writing it as if it were like a modern campaign. So it's a lot more detail, a lot less just shoot the bad guys, I'm a huge Star Frontiers fan. I have been my whole life. Broke my heart when they never brought the game back. Broke a lot of, and apparently, thanks to the internet and Facebook and such, got in touch with lots of people who are actually brokenhearted over the demise of Star Frontiers. And there's a huge, vibrant Star Frontiers community out there that's keeping it alive. After a hard week of working on Cosmic Horror, to just take a palate cleanser, to have some personal time to run a game I loved when I was 13, 14. It's been a nice way to stay sane during COVID.
I tell you, we still it's been forever since we started our campaign and sort of fell apart just because of life issues. But people still make comments and like, oh, where's the rest? Like, oh, I miss this so much.
Oh, I ran, as I was working on my campaign, I ran into the notes for that. And I had of what the next adventure would be.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell you, but I'm going to be using some of the elements of that next adventure coming up. My Star Frontiers group, they're in a spot where they're about to finish, and they haven't had a break, so they're going to have a break.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is during that break, I'm going to give them 3 threads of an adventure, and I'm going to let them pick. And then I'll have 2 weeks to write it, or at least write the first session or 2.
Yeah.
And one of them is something that I had planned for you guys.
Well, that's cool. I mean, whatever.
So it'll live on.
Well, we're there in spirit.
Right. And if you ever wanted to do a special guest star drop-in with your character, you're more than welcome to do so. If you can even find the Star Frontiers character.
Oh, it's all still on my shelf.
So honestly, if you want to drop in, you totally can. It's perfectly, you'd be more than welcome. I mean, we've been doing it on the Britannia campaign. Why not have a special guest star on the Star Frontiers one?
There you go. Oh yeah, keep it in mind. I have to like go through stuff over again, man. I never played it, so it was hard when we were playing. You're like, damn, you guys got to like learn this chart. Like, come on, what the hell are you doing?
We're actually, oh boy, there's a fanzine that's been going on for years and years and years that put out an alternate skill system. And we're actually using that, so we're not using the weird resolution chart from the Zebulon's book.
It was so hard to try to figure out.
It is, yeah, that was clunky as hell. So we're actually using a streamlined skill system from the book. So it's not hardcore by the book Star Frontiers. It's kind of a streamlined skill hack from an article. And we have good relationships with the fanzine, with the Frontier Explorer and Star Frontiersman. There's 2 magazines. So I've got a few articles in just for beer and pretzels. Yeah, for me, writing Star Frontiers, writing stuff for Star Frontiers is like doodling. It's the Call of Cthulhu at this point can be stressful because I'm writing, for a much larger audience. But Star Frontiers, you're not even paying for this magazine, so I don't really Sure, I'm checking if there's spelling errors, but I'm not, I'm not doing intensive research about proton beams. You know, it's
right.
it's space opera. I don't have to research it.
Yeah. So I missed out, if you want to call it the golden age. I missed out on all that. I didn't start playing until the 90s.
Oh,
And I of course I started with second at D&D, like most people start with D&D, but yeah,
I was a red box basic 1983.
Yeah.
13th birthday. So I've been there, I'm an old man. Look at all this gray.
Pretty old too. I just never didn't have people that were into it.
You were probably better in sports than me.
I mean, like we were, you're out, you're riding your bikes, you're at the park, you're just dicking around, you're just outside doing stuff. We just never did it.
But to get back, and I'm finding this with a lot of the new authors too, that you play all of these games, and then eventually you find Star Frontiers. And it's like, Star Frontiers is the big game hunting of RPG. It is brutal and unforgiving and atmospheric and mature, or it can be and should be, and sometimes isn't. But once you find Call of Cthulhu, you're like, that's it. That's where you want to be. And for me, when when all you do is Call of Cthulhu for a long time, sometimes you just want to break. And for me, that break is dopey 1983 space opera. And honestly, the reason I started doing it was to learn the video editing software for the Kickstarter and the interviews I'm doing now. I was just doing it as a way to screw around and get real comfortable, because I had to upgrade my software, and I hate learning. I'm an old man. I don't learn technology well.
Yeah. Well, even if you weren't writing, specifically for Call of Cthulhu, Cthulhu Invictus, like even just playing a lot of the same thing, it's nice to mix something else in,
right? Just
to kind of get a break from that, from that mindset, especially if you play like a real particular way. Like if you tend to play like real dark, Call of Cthulhu scenarios, campaigns, and stuff like that. It's nice to have something where you can just kind of mess around and just kind of blow that all out of the water.
Yeah, usually with a fragmentation grenade. Full burst auto rifle.
Right.
But it's, and I can't stress this enough. For many creators, the pandemic lockdown has been just brutal on their creative energies, and there are times where people just can't focus and get their work done. So it slowed things down industry-wide. And it goes both ways. There are people like, I'm locked down, I'm bored, I'm going to produce a lot. And then a month later, it'll dip, and they'll just be slogging. And I've felt that. I know a lot of my staff, a lot of our freelancers have felt that. So it's been a really hard year to be a creative. So you've had to do things outside of the box to just keep your creative energies at a satisfactory level. And for me, running a long-term campaign with you guys and running, starting a Star Frontiers group, and I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, hey, I'm going to build a ship in a bottle just to keep myself occupied. It was something that kind of helped. I can't even say help get through it, because we're still in it. I mean, I've been trying to make an appointment for my vaccine for weeks now, and who knows when that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's like the weird thing, and we talked about in one of our previous shows, but like for me, it didn't change very much, because like all of my gaming was already online, right? And this is sort of my creative outlet. So like it was weird. Like, people are talking about not being able to get haircuts and stuff. I mean, I shaved my head, and it never occurred to me like, oh fuck, that's right. Like you get a haircut every month, right? Like it's weird. You just don't think about it, because
I do miss running Call of Cthulhu games, especially Cthulhu Invictus, at the house. because I mean Regina can and will drive from New Jersey to my house. You know, I've got a lot of really good players who are perfectly willing to cross the state line or come from Long Island to come to my house. And when we play Cthulhu Invictus, we put out a table of like flavored oil, bread, grapes, dates, olives, and a lot of wine. And we just, you know, cheese and nuts, and it's always food that existed. You know, there's no Cheetos at our Cthulhu Invictus game. There's no cream soda. There's no Mountain Dew. It's all, this is stuff that would have been available. So we just eat and laugh and run our game and snack, and it's very social. And if it's in the summer, we'll play outside and we'll grill. I miss that. I mean, I love that we're still connected, but I do miss people. You know, I do miss that social interaction of you know, literally breaking bread with people.
Yeah. I haven't played, other than cons, which of course we didn't have any last year. I haven't played a face-to-face game in 6 years, maybe. I mean, everything that I play is on the podcast. So, and it's great. I enjoy it. It's not quite the same as being at the table together. But you know, we've got a, you know, great group of people, and we do the deep dive. You know, we're all heavy RP. I mean, when we started the campaign, I think, you know, the very first session, you know, we did the intro and you're like, all right, roll dice. We're like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this? We don't roll dice. What are you talking about?
I like to let randomness. I think I said roll a 12. Okay, it's March. And you're like, what?
Oh, it's not raining. Oh, shit. Well, raining. That's good. Fuck.
I like to put things in people's, you know, the fate in your hands. I like to make luck burning scary, because I say, hey, roll luck, and you have no idea what this is. And if you burn through 30 points of luck. So unless you go to the dice, a lot of these rules don't make sense. You know, a lot of these rules are just so easily abused. But again, that's my philosophy. A lot of people avoid dice until it's absolutely necessary, which is fine. There's diceless systems, which is fine, you know. But,
well, so it looks like I'm going to be running the short Aliens RPG campaign. But it says explicitly in the book, do not roll dice unless it's absolutely necessary, because the system itself is pretty brutal. And
I'm actually going to be playing Aliens for the first time in a few weeks.
Oh, nice!
As part of a all-star game that's going to be broadcast with a few horror podcasters, and I'm the Call of Cthulhu guy on the team. So I think there's two people on a parapsychology and there's another president of a game company. John Carpio is putting it together, and I was invited, and I'm like, okay, I've never played. He goes, that's fine. No one has. None of these guys have ever. I'm like, all right, as long as I'm as green as everyone else. And I'm like, oh, we're all gonna die. This is gonna be terrible.
Is it gonna be broadcast to YouTube? We're gonna need some links here when this comes up.
I will embarrass myself by giving the links.
Nice. Okay.
But again, Aliens is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yep. I went out and I bought all box sets, and I got the book. I got the whole package when it came out. I got
my wife's 50th birthday a few years ago we rented out a movie theater and invited a theater full of people and saw the director's cut on the big screen.
Nice.
And that's to cool. This day, people are still talking about it. And there were people who hadn't seen it.
Really?
And, there are people who are screaming at the scary parts, and the rest of us are laughing our asses off because we know when everyone gets it, and they're like, oh no, Hudson died, and like, newbie. It was phenomenal. because again, the directors could have never been in the theaters.
Yeah.
But no, I'm a huge Aliens fan. That'll be a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, that's cool. You'll have a good time. I'm assuming it's like a cinematic one shot.
No idea.
Okay.
I know there's a session 0 where we're going to go through the rules of character design, but
nice.
I've got so many balls in the air. I just said yes and forgot about it. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure when I need to show up, but I know it wasn't soon.
That's always the way, right?
But I can't say no to James. James is, Hispanic American game designer, and I always joke with him. We should start the 100 Hispanics in RPGs. We just need to find 97 more guys. And that's only because there's a guy in Florida that I know who's an RPG game designer. My friend Henry. There's 3 Hispanics in gaming. Like 100 blacks in law enforcement, 100 Latinos in gaming. We just need 97 more members. But no, I can't say no to him. Him and I go way, way back. Yeah. I mean, literally, he was organizing the conventions when I was running Call of Cthulhu for the missionary program in the early 90s. It's at small Long Island cons. And he was opening doors in the first baby steps in my career. So anything James needs, sure, no problem. I'm there.
Cool. Well, that's cool. Do you guys have any? So are you planning any other Kickstarters for the year? Are we looking at something towards the end of the year, or is this the one for the year?
I will not. I wouldn't dare to launch another Kickstarter until Britannia is delivered.
That's fair.
I'm planning for Britannia to be done and delivered, so that I can launch one in the fall. And I'm approved to launch it. I have an author. We have a project. We have, don't have a cover, but we have, we've been approved to launch by Chaosium. And that is, God willing, that will be Darkest Germania.
Ooh,
which
nice.
will be the setting for Germania Superior, Germania Inferior, the Rhineland frontier for Cthulhu Invictus. And Matt Weissman, proud ethnic German, in touch with his history. Any award-winning author will be working on that. Our primary author, and I'll be writing some material and scenarios for it. And my fiction authors are dying to get started on Tales of Cthulhu Invictus Germania. Some of them wanted to start writing already, and I said, just please don't. Just don't. I don't even know if we can get it done this year.
Right. Hey, but then it's all ready to go when.
Right. But then you're on the hook. You feel like when people write for something and then you don't use it, you've always got that pressure that you're letting the team down.
Right.
And I had that for an entire book for almost 4 years. So I don't want to put myself in that position. After this Kickstarter, it's going to be nothing but production until Britannia is out. Once Britannia is out and released, then we'll take a serious look at Britannia, at Germania. And again, it doesn't have to be released once the book is done and the manuscript is done and in layout, and we know it's coming and we know it's happening, and it's only in the hands of a few people. Then I can shift the bulk of that team to the next project.
Right.
But until we have a finished, edited manuscript ready to go to editing, ready to go do layout, I won't really start. I won't light a fire under that pot.
Yeah, that's fair. It makes sense.
I mean, we owe it to the fans. I can't. I can't. I've got 2 teams. I'm not forming a third one.
Right.
I don't have that many friends who will work for these rates.
Well, cool. It sounds like all
Darkest
good stuff.
Germania, we're very excited about. I think my second Cthulhu Invictus scenario was set in Germania, and it's a scary place. I mean, the Rhineland frontier, the Teutoburg massacre, the line of forts, the trade in amber, the loss of legions that halted the northern expansion of the Roman Empire, drove an emperor to madness.
Yeah.
And you look at the map and you look at the history and you go, yeah, Britannia. And where next? Well, Germania. You're Britannia, and then the next obvious place is Germania. So yeah, we've got someone lined up, and they've been doing research for a few months, jotting down notes. I think we've already sent an email to Alyssa, who did our wonderful Britannia map. Said, hey, would you want to take a crack at Germania later this year? So if it fits her schedule, I'm sure she'll do it. She's loves ancient Rome. It's Alberto's ready to do a cover for us, but we need him to finish art on the main book, so we're not having him work on anything. But
sure.
Dark Gods willing, and the Void don't rise. We'll be working on that. What's after Max? Go to hell. All right, shut up. What's after Germania? Well, we don't do back-to-back Invictus projects, so it would be a 1920s,
right,
or something else. But I know what I'd love to do. I just don't know if we're going to do it. Not going to say a word.
That sounds like a hard maybe.
Oh, I've got a few reference books that's a little bit more than maybe. The Eastern Empire, yes, it's an absolutely fascinating area. But, so is Gaul. So is the Iberian Peninsula. There are 3 territories there. North Africa. You could do an entire book on Egypt.
Yeah.
You could do an entire book on the city of Rome, although the maps would be ruinous, just to get the maps of the entire city. And what era, the city when. It's historically, it's just no, there will, God's willing, there will be a series of setting books for Cthulhu Invictus coming for many, many years. There are, in our period, there are like 40, 45 provinces.
Yeah.
We've done 1. The Germania book, that will be 3. 4 if we include Radia, but I don't know that we will. Even if we did the Iberian Peninsula, that's only going to be 3. And right. The Exotic East, that would probably be 4 scenarios. And we may not call it the Exotic East or whatever, but
this would be one hell of a campaign.
Yeah. The like the Guild Navigator, there are always plans within plans at the Goblin Lair.
There you go.
We try and just talk about 2 at a time.
Right. Well, there's only so much you can get done.
Right. I mean, and there's the campaign that eventually we want to do, but campaigns are tough.
Right.
A wise man once told me, people write 1 campaign because it's just terrible. It's just hard to write campaigns. And at this point, I'm on my 4th or 5th. So I'm just a glutton for punishment. But the holiday collection was a labor of love. I loved doing that. Loved the last the last face-to-face game we had was the playtest of Easter in Arkham.
Right.
And it was wonderful, but anyhow's it.
Well, hopefully soon, right? I mean, word is that, end of May, there should be enough vaccines for everybody. So hopefully, by summer, people can start.
Hopefully. Yeah. They're already canceling most of the summer cons. So who knows if con season will be saved. I think Necronomicon's done. I think...
well, don't say done. It's just been postponed until next year.
I'm talking about this year. The summer cons for 2021 are quickly evaporating.
Yeah.
Which will be fine because if everybody I know is vaccinated, I'm setting up some folding tables in my driveway in my backyard, and I'm calling it COVID Con because we need to be social, and I will just have people running and.
You put me up, I'll be there.
Well, my living room will look like a flop house. Trust me. There'll be cots everywhere. It'll be like Fire Festival, except no one will be starving because I'm a good host. I mean, maybe I'll call it FireCon.
There you go.
We'll be throwing packs of cheap ass chicken franks on the grill.
Yeah, well, I think so. They postponed San Diego Comic-Con already.
Right.
I haven't heard anything about Gen Con. I think that's still theoretically maybe a thing.
I hope in a weird way because I would like to go, but I'm only going to go if a certain book gets nominated for any awards. So if I don't get nominated for any awards, I have no intention of going. So I'm hoping to go. We're very proud of the campaign we just put out, and we've already sent in our physical copies for any consideration.
Nice.
And we'll see. We've done our best work, but we've done our best work on books that weren't nominated for anything. So that's you do your best work, you hope for the best.
Right. Well,
unfortunately, I know people who do freelance work for other companies, and apparently other companies have done some really good work during COVID too. So competition may be pretty steep and stiff this year, but
right,
we're confident.
Fingers crossed. I'll get my vote in.
You got to be in it to win it.
Yep. I was disappointed and relieved at the same time that Necronomicon got pushed back. I was gonna go.
Oh, I was.
But it was like, is this a good idea? I'm gonna do it. I don't know if it's a good idea, but put my time in at work.
I was going to get my vaccine, even if I had to put on an old man wig like from the Benny Hill show and try and get a fake ID saying I was 90. I was going to find a way to get my vaccine to be there, come hell or high water. But now it's like, okay, 2022. Okay.
Well, you know what? It'll be bigger then. It'll be, it'll be that much bigger of a release when we all get together then for that.
Oh, we're going to need a bigger karaoke bar.
We're going to need a bigger bowl of rum.
Oh, man. We might need to order 2 of those.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, that'll be fun.
God willing, we'll all be here.
Yep. Absolutely.
God willing, we'll all be there in 2022.
Yep. I'll be ordering my tickets at the end of the year.
Yeah. Cool. So, anything else you want to know about this thing?
I think we've probably beat it to death, right?
Yeah, beat it to death. It's going to be cool. I keep wanting to say the kids because they seem so young and eager, but they're all like, they're all in their 30s. So they're hardly kids, but they're working super, super hard. And I hope that the community shows this project some love, And, Matt is like, hey, we can do this every other year and have a showcase of new authors every other year. And I'm like, oh my God, No, stop. Just stop. He's like right up there with Max. So what are we doing in 2023? I'm like, God, just stop. Can we do another one of these in 2023? I'm like, we haven't done this one yet. We don't know if it's gonna fund. But it theoretically it'd be great to do new author showcases every few years.
That would be cool.
See who stands and falls. Give these kids a chance to make the name for themselves in a book where they're the only ones.
Yep.
Where they're not lost in a collection.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I like I said earlier, that's great that you guys are taking time out to do that, to bring more people in, give them that public spotlight to showcase what they're doing, and give them the opportunity in some cases to learn and really sort of delve into a new craft.
Right.
It's awesome.
And the ones who are in rewrites, they've taken criticism well. They're seeing things from a different perspective, and they're like, wow, I didn't realize that's totally what I did, and you totally figured that out. And I'm like, yeah, because I totally did that 14 years ago when I was when I was writing my third scenario.
Right.
It's all these beginner mistakes that you're well intentioned and you're eager, and you don't realize they're mistakes until you start play testing these and you get fried. And I'm like, oh, we're going to save you from all of these rookie mistakes. Because we were all fried with these rookie mistakes at cons and so forth and such.
Yeah.
Well, it's exciting being a mentor and helping them along.
Yeah. And like you said, it's different running, even if you sandbox at home and you're running campaigns and you're creating scenarios. Like you said, you jot down a handful of notes and then it explodes when it touches the players. So you just get used to doing that. But putting something together, specifically for publications, like a completely different animal.
Yes. It's very, very different. If a consumer is paying for a scenario, they don't want to do any work.
Yeah.
They don't want to think. They don't want to create any new NPCs to fill in holes when the scenario's been broken by that one player who has to do all the goofy shit. So you've got to think, okay, how can this break? How can I keep it from breaking? And if I can't keep it from breaking, how do I incorporate this break into my narrative and make it interesting? And that's not something you figure out on your first or second or third scenario. That's something that, takes years to develop, or, so why not learn from someone else's mistakes?
Yep.
Have someone, which is what mentoring is all about, I suppose, learning from other people's mistakes, so you can get a leg up.
Hey, somebody should tell Watsy.
Yeah, what?
I picked up a book that I was going to run for the kids, and it was like, yeah, here's a thing, and like there's some stuff, and then like left all of it open, and I'm like, I don't want to create stuff. Give me something I can fucking run. What is this?
Right. Oh, the stuff that was written in the Golden Age, a lot of that is it's loose.
Yeah. Which is great, for an experienced GM, DM, keeper, whatever, like that's fine, especially if you know what your own players are like. But like if you're strapped for time, like the 4th edition modules were great because you could just sit down and it was all there, unless you have that one person that's like, lick the wall and like eat the mushrooms or whatever. Like, fuck, what?
Can we break into the chief of police's house? And you're like, I suppose. And then you're frantically drawing a map of the chief of police's house, and like, I didn't think anybody crazy enough to do this shit. Then
right.
Then you got to create the map, and then you got to create the handout, and I'll be reading no specifics, just general. Like I'll be reading these scenarios. I'm like, if they shoot this guy, they have no way of getting to the second half of the scenario. I'm like, we are literally one rifle shot away, and I'm like, yeah, this is a terminal choke point. We've got to go back and fix this, or like you look at these and you've got years of experience of thinking, okay, how can this break? And
Right.
Through that lens, these scenarios are going to be way better. I think they're going to be way more solid. And the authors so far have been like, wow, that's And I remember when I was mentored, when I was starting out by an author, a great author, way more experienced than me. It was the same gratitude of like, oh my God, now I can see it.
Right.
Now I can see where I went wrong, and I can make it better. So I'm just thrilled I can do that now for some young authors.
That's awesome. And the community's better for it.
Right. The more people you have writing, the more varied the scenarios are going to be. Authors have a style. They have a voice. We're going to get a look at 6 new voices, 6 new styles. And for some fans out there, they may be reading their favorite author for the next 10 years for the first time.
Yep.
If their personal rhythm matches that author, we've made a connection, but you're never going to know that until you give these people a chance. Put the spotlight on them, give them the stage, and we're just thrilled to be able to do that.
Fantastic. All right. You have anything else to plug? Anything else that's going on? Anything else that we should know about?
No, despite Max's best efforts, no. We're not talking about any projects beyond what we've talked about. I don't want to jinx myself. So possible Kickstarter in the fall. Britannia is in full production. We're starting to really ramp that up. The Kickstarter for this, the book is written, the fiction book. We're waiting for the 6th story to come in. So that's written pretty much. And the one story we're waiting for, this guy got a very late start to the project, so it's not like he's late. This launches, the midnight on the 19th, Friday the 19th, goes 30 days. Please support us, if not for our sake, for the sake of these 6 authors who could be great in the coming years. I honestly think we're going to be seeing a lot more from these 6 in the years to come.
Cool. Very cool. I want to thank you for coming on. I'm excited and looking forward to getting to back this project and getting into my grubby little mitts.
There'll be some interesting scenarios. You'll be sad. Anybody who orders this, I think they'll be satisfied.
And I'm gonna read this out. Max said, "I'll be supporting you. Golden Goblin puts out amazing stuff."
Thank you, Max.
And I second that.
Your $2 are on the way.
The proof is on the shelf.
Well, we do appreciate your support. We couldn't do any of this without the support of our fans and our backers.
Cool. And we thank you for doing the cool stuff that you do.
Well, thanks. It's nice to be appreciated.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for checking this out. Kickstarter starts again on March 19th. If you're watching this live, the audio will drop before that. We have coffee for sale. It's that sweet, legendary brew. It's a nice, easy drinking medium roast. Oscar knows because he's had some.
I have. I've had.
If you use the code LEGENDS10, you get 10% off your order, and shipping is always free. We also have our Patreon up as well. If you'd like to support us there, that's fantastic. There's early releases, post shows, outtakes, all that kind of stuff. If not, perfectly fine as well. The thing that you could do probably help us out even more maybe is leaving us a review or a rating on iTunes or whatever your podcatcher of choice is. That helps us out a ton. Just gets more eyes on the podcast. So thank you in advance for that. And again, thanks for checking it out, and we'll catch you next time.